You're listening to From a Certain Point of Skew, the only Star Wars podcast that can't say they remember no At Attin. And who are these two podcasters? I am Jason the Angry Ginger Jedi Guy. I'm inside Wookiee Poo Studios. We've hit the record button. I've got Darth Mathias, who is sick on a different level on the Skype lines. You want to tell everyone what you're up to?
What flag do you fly?
I don't know what that means.
You don't know what that means? It was all over the episode.
Oh, yeah, you're right. But there wasn't really what was the answer? Either the Hutton or the Troik, right?
Troik or Hatton, yeah. I guess is what that's.
Hatton,
yeah.
Yep.
So that's what you're looking for. I'm a little sluggish today. I'm going to do my best, but, had a little fun last night. Feeling a little tired today. We're here to do this podcast and talk Star Wars. And if you want to find our podcast, you can go to FromACertainPointOfSkew.com. You can, talk to us on Twitter, Threads, and Blue Sky at FactPapod. You can email us, but you didn't this week, factpapod@gmail.com.
You sons of bitches.
And then you can also leave us a voicemail, 678-322-7277.
We're dying over here, both of us, and we're putting a show out for you. The least you could do is email us.
Yeah.
We live for those things. So make us happy. Send us an email. On the show today, a couple of things. We've got Question of the Week, Jod Na Nawood, and then we're going to go right into the Skeleton Crew episode 4. Can't say I remember no At Acchran.
How many times did he say it? 6?
I think so, but now like he said it, I think, in every episode, right?
Yeah, it makes sense because when you look back
right.
on it, he said it a couple times in the past. You go, it was odd how he kept calling it the same way.
Right. Yep.
It was a queued up line. Okay, question of the week. The latest Skeleton Crew left us all wondering about Jod's past. Oh, by the way, Ty, formerly of 2 on 3 Pod, he suggested that we refer to him as Jod Law. That maybe that would be easier. Just call him Jod Law.
Jod Law?
Yeah.
Okay.
I'll leave that up to you. So you tell us, what is Jod Na Nawood's, God, that's such a hard name to say, origin story? Where is he from? Is he Force sensitive and or a former Jedi? Why does he disregard droids so much? And why is everyone against him? So we got a lot of answers. First up is Brown Leader. We're gonna hear from him a couple times.
Yeah.
He says he kicked a droid as a teen, stubbed his toe, got gangrene, and had to get it amputated. His family was too poor to afford a proper prosthetic, so he had to finish high school with a peg leg. So that left only one job possibility for him, piracy. He did make enough to finally get a top-line prosthetic. That's good. Great theory. Jeremy says he's Mephisto. Now you got to tell me who's Mephisto.
Mephisto is, did you see the second Spider-Man movie? Jake Gyllenhaal?
I thought his name
I'm
was
sorry.
something.
I'm sorry. That's wait.
What's that guy's
Mephisto? Mysterio. Mephisto is the devil.
name? Okay.
It's the devil that was believed to be behind like the Scarlet Witch series, and then I think he was mentioned in the Agatha Harkness TV show that was just out. So he's like the Marvel's Satan.
Gotcha.
He's always pulling strings from behind.
Well, that's what Jeremy says. KG Francis says child survivor and orphan from the Clone Wars. I don't think he'd be that young then during the Clone Wars. Maybe.
No.
I mean, he could.
No, because I think deeper into one of these messages, someone breaks down his age.
Right, correct. Next is Brown Leader again. This is a long one. A young sniper for the Confederacy. At the end of the Clone Wars, Jod Na Nawood was helping defend a small outpost from the armies of the Republic and finally escaped after many days of tense fighting and exchanges with the Republic's top sniper. Isn't that the fucking Enemy at the Gates plot? Jude Law's an Enemy at the Gates, and he's going up against...
Yeah.
Discovering he was force sensitive, he started a small academy and they were dubbed wizards. Since the Confederation still had animosity against Jedi, he became obsessed with animals strong in the Force and one particular student, Dave Puzzle. What?
Okay.
The school went bankrupt after a scandal involving wands and minors' abuse of them.
Dave Puzzle is oh shit.
Is that a person?
That's a Harry Potter. It's
that makes sense.
It's a play on it'll come to me.
Okay. He then sold his brainwaves to a new startup corporation that was attempting to create droids that could act like and pass as sentient species. Oh, I don't like where this is going. He then became an assistant for a private investigator, often acting as the muscle for his boss. He was seriously injured in a fight with an overpowered, emotionless droid-like heroine from the Kree system. Is that a real system? The Kree system?
The Kree system is Marvel.
Okay. Oh, okay. God,
he's
He's fucking me up with all this Marvel
Lee Pace was the leader of the Kree, right? Yeah.
Okay. He then took a job. Oh my God, he's giving us his full CV here.
Well, he's breaking down. He's using different franchises for each of these paragraphs.
Yes, this is very good. He then took a job as a squadron captain for an orbital platform and had to defend against a massive droid army many years after the war, and led an expedition to find the source, which led to a pirate warlord in an asteroid belt named Crimson Jack. He defeated Jack in a hand-to-hand duel and was proclaimed the leader by the pirates. When he saw their treasure storeroom, he realized it paid infinitely more than a legit job and has since committed his career to piracy. Wow. Well done, Brown Leader.
Yeah.
I think he's got one more coming too. Damon For You says he's probably a former Padawan who somehow survived Order 66. Maybe. I don't think so, but maybe. Geeky Dad 83, he first said the droid hate is pretty common amongst characters in Star Wars, so that doesn't really tell us much. So I was like, okay, so what's your theory? Who do you think he is then?
Also, are these tweets or these emails coming in? Because these are getting longer.
These are tweets, Blue Sky messages, and threads.
Okay.
We're getting them from all angles.
Wow.
Using Jude Law's age, 51, as an estimate in the absence of any other statements on Jod's age, and the show taking place around 9 ABY, that would have put him around 23 at the start of the Great Purge in 19 BBY. Old enough to have been a full Jedi Knight at that point, not a Padawan. Even a disillusioned Jedi I find hard to buy, accepting the deaths of the innocent merchants that his pirate crew were causing in the opening scene, at least without going full dark side. So I really don't think he's a former Jedi. It's too obvious anyway. I think he is someone who is force sensitive that the Jedi missed and has been living his life as best as he can to get by. The rise of the Empire and the Inquisition, the Spanish Inquisition, drove him more into the fringes and the criminal elements to hide, and he used his force powers and luck to work his way up. I think there are probably a lot more people out there like him with force powers keeping them secret than the galaxy at large acknowledges. I think that's true.
That's very true.
I'm sure he also has a tragic backstory to go with that. Maybe he was in love and his partner was killed by the Inquisitorius so he could escape or something. Thanks, Geeky Dad. That was a great thought-out answer. Adelphi Rangers, you're not going to believe what he says. He called the NRSF X-Wings goons, so he's dead to me, and I don't care where he came from.
I don't care where he came from.
That's pretty good. Max Rebo, his parents were roadies for a certain band fronted by a blue dude and dragged him from show to show across the galaxy. When we, I mean the unknown band, figured out droids were better roadies, his parents lost their jobs and were forced to sell him to pirates for drinking money.
It's fair.
These guys stay on brand so much. It's great. And finally, one more big one from Brown Leader. Jod Na Nawood was a someone said fleshly.
He sure was.
Was a freshly made Jedi Knight when Order 66 happened. As a Padawan, he had posters of Yord Fandar on his dorm wall and all over his data pads.
A topless Yord Fandar?
I would hope so. Hope so. Even though he had a low midichlorian count, he would always twist and turn to do whatever was necessary in his training to remain the head of his class. Jod Na Nawood was on patrol in the Outer Rim when Order 66 went down, while he was in the process of capturing a pirate vessel all by himself. He was so overwhelmed by the trauma transmitted through the Force that the pirates, captained by Crimson Jack, captured him instead. Empire propaganda, Crimson Jack, and torture from Jack's pet droid that sat on Jack's shoulder and cackled like a Kovakian monkey lizard. I appreciate his effort here. Warped his view of the Jedi failures, and he slowly changed as he realized that all his rule following as a Jedi meant nothing since they and he were so easily defeated. He also developed a taste for pirate booty, like the kids' snack food.
No, I think he means
I know.
Yeah, actual booty.
not the popcorn. And soon joined Jack's crew. He eventually challenged Crimson Jack and killed him, taking on the name in his place. He eventually killed off the whole crew to hide any knowledge of his Jedi past and became Captain Silvo. He put together a new crew and terrorized the Outer Rim for years. Many years. Thank you for all your contributions, Brown.
I like all these answers. I don't know if they fit into this show, but they're well thought out and creative.
Do you have any fresh theories on Jod, Jay? You want to mention right now before we jump into it?
Possibly at the end.
Okay, so no news, so we'll just jump right into Skeleton Crew.
No news is good news. What's that Sesame Street character? Good news.
All I'm thinking of when I think of Sesame Street is those two guys sitting there going, yep. Do you remember that?
That sounds familiar, but who is that? Because you say two guys, and I immediately go to the Muppets.
These two little Muppets, and they're both sitting there like going, yep. They do that, and then all of a sudden, like the phone rings, and they go, whoa, and they start going, bring.
Yes,
it's the stupidest.
I know what you're talking about.
Funniest fucking thing. Anyway, now I had heard rumors that this was going to be a Neel-centric episode, and it sure was.
It was.
Got a lot of play with Neel here, and with all the ruins and the like post-apocalyptic feel and the kid soldiers, it felt very Mad Max like, almost like a Thunderdome kind of.
Right. Yeah, except for no one had to fight to the death. We should have seen a little bit. They could have got a little bit darker. As dark as this was, it could have got darker.
It could have gotten a lot darker, yeah. Oh, shout out too to the Authorian historian who got, I believe, 3 or 4 Authorians in this episode. A lot of. I mean, of course,
they were on both sides of the fence.
They were fighting each other. It's a civil war,
man.
And they're going to get capped because they always do.
Yeah, I can't imagine they're real strong with the anything. They're real slow.
Yeah.
They hang well from what I've seen.
Not very agile.
Right. Yeah. Just garden doors.
They
one
hang
guy's
well from what I've seen.
You caught that?
It's taking time to get to the brain.
Yeah.
That was good. So I mentioned Operation Cinder last week. We talked about it.
Yeah.
These satellites floating around when they come out of hyperspace kind of look like Operation Cinder. Do they not?
They sure do.
So maybe that was part of it. Those satellites, I believe, in Operation Cinder would like fuck up the environment, which the planet looks all scorched earth.
Yeah.
So it's possible.
It does.
That was a deal. And it also made me think, were all the other planets treated the same way? Like, did they all get the Operation Cinder treatment, but maybe At Acchran didn't?
Yeah, like did was there a kink in the code and it just didn't go there? Was the cell signal down that day? Like what happened? Because if they were all one way or another, because it looks like it did do two things, right? It controls like the gases and makes the barrier, right? Mm-hmm. And then there must be the Order 66 code to put in as well. As once you hit it, it just goes into full destruct mode.
Or Operation Cinder, not Order 66.
But it looks like it destroyed the satellites when they were activated
they look
as well, right?
I think whatever they do, it wipes them out.
Mm-hmm.
They're killing themselves, essentially.
Right.
So the kids think it's their planet. They're looking down. They're like, as they're coming in on approach, they're like, oh, look, those are houses. Because it's a very similar.
It's got the exact same setup, yeah.
They mimicked every planet to be the same. And even Jod is like, this is At Acchran? As he gets out, he goes, it tastes like ashy dust. Reminds me of my home planet.
Right.
Where's that? Where could that be?
I mean, that's definitely a hint, right? I think when we get his story, like all these things are going to start coming together.
I think you're right. Fern orders Jod to remain on the ship and tells Smee to watch him, so he goes into babysitting mode.
Dude,
come on,
here, baby.
Don't make me count.
And he now is he like just did that deadpan, like he goes into babysitter mode and that he treats him like a baby, or is there a part of like does Smee have a bit of a personality and he's goating him?
I feel like he's got a bit of a personality.
Yeah.
I mean, it could be that he's taking him literally, when the order is given. That's true. But I think he might have a little bit of sass to him. That's why. I mean, we saw him last episode with the whole like, I don't think that's
he
programming.
Comes back and gives him another one.
Yeah. On the ship, Jod is rifling through the kids' stuff, and in addition to finding the little holo projector showing that scene from the holiday special, he finds old Republic credits, which is going to come in handy. And then he gets Smee finds him and calls him a thief, so he kind of has to get him to settle down.
I got to say, okay, so go back to the credits real quick because we know soon these credits buy off the elote fries, right? And save the kids. But this was just this kid's lunch money. Yes. So has inflation gone up so high on At Acchran that these credits are worth $1 million everywhere else, but there you just get a burger and a fry?
Well, I think because of the rarity of them, they're worth a lot more. Although it makes you think, would the Hattons really be like, oh, sweet, Old Republic credits?
Yeah, because what are they going to do with the money? Even though I guess they still, if they all ran the same, this would be a function of currency for them. But if they need more of it, and it's worth so much, where did all their currency go?
Right, I don't know.
Yeah.
But, I mean, and I guess the other guy mentioned off-worlders, so people must come in and they could use the credits to buy stuff.
Yeah, that's true.
Anyway, so then Smee reveals that the planet they're on is At Acchran.
Yes.
Ohio.
And
he knows it well. 'Tis dangerous it is. And then Jod is asking him, okay, yeah, that's great and all, but where's At Acchran? What's the deal with At Acchran? Is there a treasure on At Acchran? Like, and all he keeps saying is, can't say I remember no At Acchran.
Right.
And we will hear that on and on and on. Meanwhile, the kids find a home that looks identical to Fern's. It's even got the mural.
Yes. Right.
It's an exact replica, but it's got like trees growing through it. It's clearly been deserted for a long time. You know, the roof's like partially ripped off. Neel and KB start figuring it out. They're like, it looks like our home, but it's not. And KB is saying maybe it's one of those sister planets, kind of figuring it out.
Right.
It was set up like At Acchran, later destroyed. So Wim is sitting there playing outside, swinging around a stick or something. All of a sudden, they notice this statue of Walt Disney.
Yes, exactly.
That's what I thought when I saw it. It looked just like the fucking statue from Disneyland or Disney World.
The head's frozen somewhere.
Well, I was going to say.
Waiting to come back.
We know he's got his head cryogenically frozen, so this all checks out. Oh, man. King No Head, they call him, which I love that. Next thing you know, the Disney statue takes a blaster shot from somewhere, and they all like kind of scurry, and they meet a couple of local kids who ask them, what flag do you fly?
Mm-hmm.
They don't know what to say to that. Hannah is the gal. She introduces herself as Troik. Now, I was trying to figure her accent out the whole show, because it was like, first I thought it was sort of British, then it was like German.
Yeah.
It was like all over the place. It's kind of hard to understand what she was saying.
Yep.
She tells them they need to hide from the approaching Hatton patrol. She leads them into this abandoned school bus. Looks just like their school bus on At Acchran, right?
Yep. Well, not just like it's been modified.
Well, it's been busted out.
Yeah.
But yes, looks just like
it's an older model, but it checks out.
It checks out. We see the Hattons march through, all seemingly adults, by the way.
Right.
But they have a tank driven by an Authorian.
Now, where are all the women?
That's a good point. There's no adult women.
Yeah.
Is this like, I was going to say children of men, but that was a baby thing. Yes, it is odd, isn't it?
There's a lot of children and there's a lot of men, and they're all the army, right? But the women are, I don't know if I saw an adult woman.
Were there any adult women like on the roof of the school when they go up there, maybe?
I'd have to go back and look.
Yeah,
but
it's a good point. I don't remember seeing any women.
If there was one or two. It's like the Smurf thing going on. It's like that girl all over Twitter right now that just got ran through. She's going for a new record.
The amount of times that pops up on my feed, I'm like, I don't want to see this. Thank you.
I know. I'm like, why is this popping up?
Like at one point, one shot popped up and it was literally her in the act. And I was like, I don't need I don't need to see this. Thanks.
Everything I've seen has like been feet or the aftermath with like, wrappers and shit on the floor or whatever, or them like her talking about it, but I haven't seen any of the actual. So I'm guessing that's behind a paywall or something.
And now she's shooting for 1,000.
Yeah, oof. Good for her. God, but I mean, some of us like to walk, others don't.
So she takes them back. Oh, and there's some Eopies as well with the Hattons.
Elote fries.
There you go. She takes them back to the Drake base, which is it's like a hollowed out school. So all this stuff is so familiar. It's got to be jarring for them because everything they're seeing is stuff that looks very familiar but completely devastated.
It's like Back to the Future too.
Yeah, it is very much so.
Yep.
She brings them to her father, General Strix, who tells them that they treat children like adults. Because, he's building an army of children.
This dude's full of shit. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. They don't treat them like adults, but, compassionately.
No.
They're like, and then his trick is like, oh, we're going to have you guys join. And then he's like, you guys are going to go first.
Exactly. I love that.
You mean nothing to us.
I saw somebody write about it and go like, why would they trust the kids to lead the attack? I'm like, that's not what they were doing. They were fucking cannon fodder. They're like, you go first.
Yep. Yeah. If they take shots, we know where they're at.
Right. So they tell him they're looking for a way back to At Acchran. And after he kind of tries to poo-poo their question, Hannah goes, well, would there be any hidden knowledge in the fallen sanctum? Mm-hmm. And he's like, dude, don't tell him about the fallen sanctum. She explains that the sanctum has these old carvings that show coordinates to other planets. So Strix is like, okay, well, if you train, maybe we'll let you go check out the fallen sanctum. Not a great deal. By the way, that symbol that's on their jackets, I couldn't figure it out.
Did you? 7 dots?
Yes, because it almost looked like to me like I don't know if it's like a golf brand or there's some apparel brand I feel like where they had that on like the back of the shirt, and it looked a lot like that.
To me, it was like out of the 9 planets, their symbol is they're the 7th one. That's what I was just guessing.
That could be the Hattons didn't have that shit on them though.
No, you're right.
I couldn't tell what they had. So Back on the ship, Jod just keeps pumping Smee for info on the treasure. And clearly Smee remembers being on the planet before and encountering warriors, but he won't say anything about the treasure. But he's literally saying, I've encountered warriors just like this. And you realize he's seeing the fact that they're already there.
That's crazy, yeah.
So they appear, and of course they ask, what flag do you fly? And Jod gives them one of my favorite lines of the whole show. He goes, you know what, just shoot me.
He's had enough of this.
Yeah, I'm not getting nowhere. I'm not getting anywhere in the treasure. Now you guys are here. Fuck it. Just kill me. I'm done. Back to the training. The kids are terrible at shooting. Well, KB is very good, but the others are just awful at shooting. And Neel's just like, I don't want to do this. So you guys run off. He is not interested because he's not interested in war in general. It's not just because he's not courageous. He just doesn't understand why you're doing this war thing.
This is all new to all of them, but especially him.
Yep. Hannah takes him with her to the roof of the facility to show him the big gun.
Man, yeah. Now, where do they get this? Because I imagine this is like a remodel, right? This has to be from an off-worlder, a trade or something, because I don't think the original buildings are equipped with this on the other planets, right?
Well, you wonder where all these weapons came from, because if they were set up like at Attin, you wouldn't think that they would be available.
That's true.
I didn't think about that till you just said that, but yeah, where they must have been getting all this stuff from off-world people.
Yeah, because the Hattons seem to be more. They have like Empire stuff, old school.
Where'd the tank come from?
Right.
You know,
from like a decommissioned Episode 1 tank.
Yeah, or Clone Wars, something like that.
Yeah, that's what I meant.
Oh, and she also stops to get some food, and she watches Neel give his food away to these poor, hungry kids, and she kind of finds that touching.
Yeah.
And then she explains that the Hattons stole some of their Eopies, and what she say, they stink, but we need them, or something like that.
Yes.
And they're going to go on a raid soon to steal them back, and Neel's just like, so when does it ever end? You're like, when do you win? Like, what's the purpose of this fucking war? Why don't you just apologize and get it over with? I love to apologize, guys. Sorry. Yeah. Okay, let's come together.
We're good now. Let's have dinner together.
He's very naive. Then he also is telling her stories about him, and
he gets beat up by his toddler brother.
Yes, and she goes, "What did he say? He was saying something about slap ball that they play. That might be the thing that they were doing outside of schoolyard."
I think that's what that was.
And he goes, "I'm the best player." She's like, "You must be from a weak clan."
Right.
Wow. Thanks.
He's got good hand-eye coordination. Give the kid some props.
We also see him do this little scooch over to get closer to Hannah. He's got some game.
He does.
He's so disarming that he's, it's kind of a sneaky little game that he's got there.
Is this practice for when he gets back home so he can
Runa?
Yeah. Get a little green Runa?
It could be. Yeah. I mean, it's all good practice for him. Back at the training, KB is showing off her skills. Wim is fucking hopeless.
Poor kid.
General Strix shows up and tells the kids that they will lead them into battle. Like I said, in other words, you guys go first and we'll watch them shoot you. So they start marching over to this kind of carved out city area. He tells them, go ahead and scout ahead. And they're like, no. And he's like, yeah.
Right.
You need to go. Fucking threatens him.
What a shitbag.
I know. He's a total dickhead. Hannah offers to go with him, at which he's like, why would you do that? Strix Day's like, okay, fine, go.
Yeah.
That's your daughter, dude.
Yeah, he doesn't care.
No, he does not care. Luckily, when they approach the mist, who emerges, it's Jod. For a moment, I thought, I wonder if the other side did the same thing. They sent him out first.
Oh, right.
So I was thinking they're just all going to meet in the middle.
Quick run while they're on the other side of the fog, both sides.
Right, yeah. But it's actually Smee is with Jod, and they announce to the Troiks, hey, I think these belong to you, and here come the Eopies back. And
right.
When Strix offers him a reward, he's like, no, I just want those 4 kids. He's like, really? You can have all this?
Yeah, he doesn't even come off like, no, I know them. He just says, no, I want those 4 kids. And he's like, all right, we'll just sell these strangers to you. A lot of child trafficking happening in this.
I was going to say, you're not at all put off by the fact that this strange man you just met wants kids?
Right. Well,
just
no,
take the kids.
He didn't care either. So,
yeah,
I feel like this is a normal thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They treat him like adults, they say. Neel and Wim give him a huge hug, and clearly Fern is kind of taken by Jod's, act of getting them back. Maybe she's warming up to him just a little bit there.
Dropping her walls a little bit, yeah.
A little bit. And then Hannah tells them she'll lead them to the Fallen Sanctum. So on the way, Jod explains how he paid the herd with Republic credits. Oops. Wim's like, where'd you get? Can you take my fucking credits? Yes. So then we see the sanctum off in the distance, and it's like the tower that we see on At Acchran, and they call it the Supervisor's Tower. Mm-hmm. Neel tells Hannah, hey, you should come with us. You can stay at my house. Dude, a bit aggressive there. You gonna just move your girlfriend right in?
Right in, man. It's his first relationship. He doesn't know better.
He's coming on a little strong.
Right.
She says she needs to stay and help her father, and one day become the leader of the Troika. And when she does, maybe she'll try to turn them into a peaceful operation.
Right.
And then she gives him a kiss on the cheek, and you have to squint to see it, but he's got a full chubby in his overalls. I don't know if you saw that.
Oh, good for him. It's the first one he ever had. He's got a trunk in his pants.
What's happening to me?
Yeah.
Did you say he's got a trike in his pants?
A trunk. A trike, too. Yeah.
By the way, I thought about this at the time. I thought, well, it's a good thing his friends are here to see this. Otherwise, this would be like...
They wouldn't believe it.
Well, yeah, it'd be like my girlfriend. She's from Niagara Falls. You would know her.
Yeah.
Like they would not believe this one.
Like in Stranger Things, when the one kid just keeps talking about his girlfriend, they're like, you don't have a girlfriend. Come to find out he does.
He does.
Yeah.
So they make their way up the tower in this lift, and they find this...
Now, this thing looks like it's in shambles. Moments from falling apart, yet the elevator works just fine all the way to the top floor.
Well, it hasn't been used in a while, I guess. So they get up there, and they see these like 9 columns, and they all have names of the other planets and their coordinates. The other planets mentioned are at A2, at Arisia, at Erevan, at Akoda, and then Neel spots at Attin. Unfortunately, the coordinates are scratched out, so you can't read them for at Attin.
Just that one, yeah.
Smee then comes clean and says he's the one who did it because he was here before with his old captain. And then we get into this whole, like, who's on first fucking cycle again, where they keep asking him, what were the coordinates? What coordinates? You know,
right.
That whole thing. And then he does this line about don't remember at Attin. She's like, would you stop saying that? So Fern's feeling very defeated. She runs off. I like how Jod goes, good luck with that. Like, you go deal with it.
To Wim?
Yeah, to Wim. He goes off, tries to comfort her, like saying, you know, hey, you're the rightful captain and you're doing fine, all this stuff. And it's, you know, for all her bravado about being the leader till now, she kind of gives us this look into what she's really feeling. Like, I'm maybe a little in over my head. I'm feeling responsible for this whole crew, and I've gotten us into danger and all this kind of stuff.
I think like she's been pressured to be like that type of person, you know, raised by her mom. She has to be first in class. She has to be. So yeah, this is the first time where she gets to take a minute and be like, I'm fucking up.
Right. And then Wim says, you'll figure something out. And she says, I'm not a droid. I don't just do what I'm told. Wait a minute.
Oh, yeah.
That reminds me. I used to do that to my droid at home all the time. So she goes in there and tells Smee, what is it? Reset your brain or something? Override? Something like
override.
And Smee remembers what happened. He says his captain killed any crew member who saw the coordinates to At Acchran. Then he ordered Smee to destroy the coordinates and forget everything he knew about the place. And he also said if anyone comes around to find the treasure, he should pull them apart.
Yeah. So now this is strange though, because now he's going back and he's following the rules of his old captain when he has a new captain.
Yes.
Okay.
So how does that work?
Right.
You can't because she's still his captain now.
Right.
That doesn't supersede.
That you would think so, but apparently not. Well, and he's kind of fucked up anyways. But do you notice like whenever he's trying to hide something or he's forgetting something, that little fucking critter in his eyeball starts pulling at the strings inside of his head,
like it's operating him in some way?
Yeah, like it knows it's fucking ratatouille.
It is Ratatouille. That's a good point. I didn't think about that. It's 100% Ratatouille.
I wonder if this thing's like, you know, super smart. It just can't speak the language, you know?
Yeah.
So it's almost, it's like the puppet master to this thing.
Yeah, that's a good point. I would say that Ratatouille is in my top 3 Pixar films. I love that movie.
Yeah, great movie.
It's really good.
I mean, it's a symbiotic relationship for sure.
Yes, for sure. He starts going after the kids. That's when our man Neel starts chucking rocks at his head, standing up for him.
Right.
He's no longer has his boner, so he's feeling comfortable about attacking.
The blood's to the other brain now.
Exactly. And just before Smee attacks Neel, Jod just runs over and hits the off switch real quick.
Yeah.
Nice little move there. And he collapses almost, right on top of Neel, who faints. And then that's the end of the episode.
He's had enough action for this episode.
He's like, yeah, fine. Ugh. So we need to try to make sense of this. By the way, I do want to give a quick shout out to, there's a podcast called Records of the Republic. They've interacted with us a bunch.
Okay.
And they were on a hiatus for a while, and they just came back, and Wade's got a new co-host. I think his name's Devin. I think after the first 2 episodes, Devin said this, and I didn't hear anybody else say this at the time, but he speculated that the captain of the Onyx is the supervisor. He said it then. And I was like, that's a pretty
if they're following like the Wizard of Oz story, that makes sense, right?
Yeah, right.
Someone from a far off land goes in there, kind of takes over, hides behind the scenes. And we've discussed elements of the Wizard of Oz, or the big Oz thing we've said before, so that makes sense. I also think, do you think Wim's dad has something more to do with any of this? Because I was tying it back to like the way he took his glasses off and had a particular set of skills. I'm just wondering if he knows more. Like that's what he knows.
He knows that who the supervisor is, and where they came from.
Possibly, right?
He could. I mean, he's crunching a lot of data, so it's certainly possible he could have stumbled onto it, even if he wasn't there when it originally happened. I don't know, but yeah, I couldn't tell from him taking off the glasses if that was him being like, I know some shit, or if that was him just being like, I'm a terrible father. I'm just not sure which it is.
And I could be reading into it.
Could be both.
Yeah, that's true.
So, and it made me think too. So let's just say that is the case, that the captain of the Onyx Cinder is the supervisor. So are we to assume that he went and gathered up the treasures from all the other planets and brought them all to At Acchran, or was the treasure only on At Acchran? What do you think?
I'm thinking that's what makes At Acchran special. I think they all have their own things. Yeah. I think the treasure, the money, comes from this planet.
Okay.
And that's why the pirates want this planet out of the rest of them.
Right. Okay.
That's what I'm thinking. I think they all had responsibilities for something, but this is like the what I call it before. This is the Fort Knox out of the 9 planets. Like this is where the money is held.
So what do you think is going to happen next? Are they going to end up going to one of those other coordinates and going to another one of the?
I think they're going to have
planets?
to, right? Like at least I don't think they're going to visit every damn planet, but I think visit one more to see if they can find a pillar that has the coordinates on there. Although. Right. Wouldn't the pirates cover their tracks on all of those? So I don't know.
It makes you wonder. Yeah. Are they going to find the same exact thing when they go to the next one?
Or at least maybe when they get to the next planet, because there's this scene, and I don't know if it's when they finally get back to Attin, but in one of the trailers they show, what do we call him? Jod Na Nawood?
Jude Law. Or Jod Law.
Jod Law, yeah. Jod Law he's yelling at someone, like he's running toward the camera. He's in like a really nice fucking room, and he's like saying, I don't know what but it looks like he's warning them that they have to get out of there. So I wonder if like the next place they go to isn't in destruction, but maybe it's someone else is pulling the strings there and they catch on to it,
Yeah. Mm-hmm. That could be. I think that was the scene where we saw the little teaser of it on Twitter at one point, where it was the kids jumping on the bed.
Right. Yeah.
Yes, it was that one.
Yeah.
Yeah, I wonder about so many things. Are all these other planets, like you said, maybe that one's actually intact, but are all these other planets looking like this? Like all, like they've been wiped out by Operation Cinder or whatever? Not completely destroyed by a Death Star, but, devastated.
Right.
I would imagine... I think, is it the next episode? Did you ever see that one clip of that where they were showing some of the animatronic stuff they were doing? I think it was actually the who's the stop motion guy? Tippett?
Yeah, Phil Tippett.
He was involved in. There's like this kind of crab looking creature.
Yes,
that could be the next. That could be the next episode. They might encounter that. I'm not sure.
That's
but
right.
That was shown as something was coming up.
Well, there's another one where they're like on the ship and it's spinning around, right? And it looks like they're like at one of those mining places or the junkyard from like the Mandalorian, right?
Yes.
Where there's like a big crane arm or something. And so we've got I think we've got probably 2 episodes, probably two other
of
visits.
Them jumping around.
Yeah, before we end up on At Acchran.
That sounds about right.
Because we have to have a KB centric episode, right?
Well, we had a KB centric. That was last episode, the episode 3. That's when we kind of got her whole story.
Well, I suppose, yeah.
I mean, they haven't really done. I guess if you say the first episode was more Fern and Wim focused.
Yeah, I think so.
And then these last two are KB and I don't know, because I mean, obviously it was a lot of Jod last episode, but KB as well. That's where we got a lot better taste of what she's up to. There was somebody who had the theory. Maybe it was I can't remember, but somebody had the theory that the condition that KB has, this is their theory, is the Force, and the fucking visor thing is a Force suppressor. I thought that was kind of interesting.
So maybe that makes sense because there's a couple of times where like even when they made the joke about her knowing something was happening first, but she's always kind of like on the spectrum a little bit when it comes to like reading the room. Like something's going on and she's just kind of like staring like she has to be pulled away or something else. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I don't know. That might be, because that's the one thing for someone who needs like a life alert or something on them. Like these are truly, going back to the joke we made last week about the Hulu series, like either, the moms are just letting her think she's has an illness or she does have something that is not a true illness, right? It's not something that like she has to take medication for or something, or maybe this thing's got like something that, but yeah, I like that idea. But like, we've never seen anything like that then.
No, I thought it would be a cool thing to introduce. Like they're like, hey, the Force is actually a bad thing. Like she was showing signs of the Force early and they're like, oh, we need to handle this.
How bad would that piss Wim off?
If she's got the Force and he doesn't.
Yeah. This poor kid, man, just wants adventure and wants to be a Jedi. He's just kind of a fuck up. Like, I mean, I think he's going to step up and do something big at some point. Right.
But so far, he's just kind of...
He's just the dreamer.
Yeah, he's the dreamer.
Yeah.
And a little bit worthless at times. Oh, man. Any other theories on what's coming or anything else about the supervisor or the captain or any of that stuff?
No, I still think that the planet is ran by droids and no one is... I don't think there is a supervisor per se.
I think I could see it going in both directions, which I know is not taking a stance on something here, but it was, I could see the fact that, okay, this is the captain from the Onyx Cinder and they just sit in their room and direct everything. The droids handle everything, but they're the ones kind of
right. Just sitting around fucking having grapes fed to them,
right? Living
the life, taking advantage of the situation. That's true.
Maybe that's originally what it was, but then the thing died, or the guy died.
Well, are we led to believe that the captain was the one that had the fucking sword through his chest and he was pinned up against the wall?
I think that was just part of his
just
crew.
A crewmate. Okay.
But I don't know. You know, it's hard to say. But I was thinking, well, maybe he did die, and whatever he set up with the robots, they just started acting on their own accord. So they're just like, they don't have...
Right.
The supervisor really doesn't exist anymore, like, you know, your theory. But the robots just operate. Or it's some sort of AI that's in place that is keeping everybody thinking that they're still a supervisor. I don't know. They're going to get in that room on At Acchran and find out what the fuck's going on, and it's going to be real interesting.
Well, that could be like maybe the captain or the survivor was the one that stopped At Acchran from being destroyed, right? And he was aware of the plan before, so he just let everything continue and just kind of fucking basked in the glory without anybody ever knowing anything.
Yeah.
Because if his whole crew is dead, he killed everybody, and Smee is broken to shit and
it was deactivated.
Right.
Yeah.
So like he can just kind of sneak away from the ship. But I would imagine that ship's been there long enough that whoever it is, unless there's some like weird alien race that can live hundreds of years, that person has to be dead.
Yeah, it's hard to say how far back it goes.
Right.
It's got to be quite a while. You know, it doesn't seem like the adults know the story of it, so that this captain would predate them and the adults, you know. So it could have happened.
It could be both, right? Because regardless of whether the captain got there 10 years ago or 50 years ago, they wouldn't know.
Yeah.
And if he's making everything run the same way,
oh, I see what you're saying.
From behind the scenes, like it doesn't matter.
I gotcha. Yeah.
Yeah.
So not like he didn't set it up and originate it. But that's the other thing. It was just who set up 9 planets to all be exactly the same, like fucking model homes.
Like who?
Yeah, who did like model homes? It's like
yes,
it's like every planet is the same. So who
well,
the hell
it's very
set
much
that up?
like you ever watch like the documentaries on like Chernobyl, like when Russia was going to make like these they were just going to put nuclear power plants everywhere and they build these fucking like visionary towns around them and they were all going to fucking look the same.
Mm-hmm.
That's kind of what this reminds me of.
Yeah.
Or was it us that talked about it was just Epcot?
Oh, no.
Land or what was that?
No, but it is like that, isn't it?
Yeah. Back to Disney with no head. Yeah.
Yeah, right. The next episode is directed by Jake Schreier, who is the guy who did Thunderbolts.
Yes.
Which is about to come out. And so I don't know what that tells us as far as what we're going to get, but it seems like it's going to be a jump around to some other planets and have some adventures kind of thing. We have to have some more adventures before they figure out what the hell's going on and get back to Attin.
Yeah, and I like the. I imagine there was probably some complaints. I didn't look too much up, but were there some complaints that this was a slower paced episode? But I think they needed to take a breather and set some things up, right? With this, some information. But overall, I thought this was a great episode.
I think the biggest gripes I saw when I was poking around on people's reviews and stuff of the episode is some people thought it was like almost like they're setting up certain stakes and then not delivering on them. Like they're going to go into battle. Well, no, they're not. You know, like it's almost like they're
not.
Well, but it's almost like I think that was their gripe, was like, oh, you're setting up these big stakes and some, peril they're going to be in, and then it doesn't end up happening. Which, whatever. What was the other? Oh, the other. I did, of course. There's always somebody who goes, "This was a filler episode." It happens every time. I'm like, how is it a filler episode? They literally figured out where the fucking planets, are. It's not a filler episode.
There was like some lore in this. It expands upon. I think like. Overall, this episode is going to mean a lot more when we see more things happen and we see like what these planets all meant to each other.
Yeah, there's a still, I think it's in those Empire photos, where it looks like they're in a room with columns that's intact.
Yes. Oh, they definitely go into I think it's Wim, his dad, and Fern, her mom.
Yes.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
Are in the supervisor tower there.
At Attin.
Right.
Yeah.
Which then I think leads them to the treasure room, the vault, right?
Yeah, that would make sense.
Where all of this ends after that.
Yeah, I don't know how the fuck they're going to wrap that shit up. There's a lot of fun stuff there. I mean, that's the nice thing is it's a fun adventure.
Yeah.
But with this underlying mystery that we get, the whole way. So it's not just like, oh, that was a fun episode of the week where they went on an adventure and had to dodge going into warfare. Next. But there is this storyline that's playing out the whole time. We're trying to figure it out and speculate on what the hell it means. I got done with that episode and I was like, well, shit, okay. I was thinking it was like, I didn't think about the captain being in charge necessarily, and I just thought, well, I think we kind of figured this out a little bit. It's droid run, right? The planet, which still could be the case, but this captain element introduces a whole different thing.
Do you think Jod Law? Do you think his character, like, is his character going to tie into the Crimson, the Crimson Onyx? What was the name of the ship?
Onyx Cinder.
Onyx Cinder.
The ship.
Is it going to tie into I'm trying to think if like all of that loops in together, because there was a couple of, he doesn't act too surprised about things.
Well, he certainly knew his way around the ship.
Right.
Which is a little bit peculiar.
Yeah. And he doesn't seem too shocked by the things that are happening with these planets either.
True.
He's at least heard of the fable, right?
Yeah, I don't think so in the end. I could see that. I could see them doing that. But I think it's just going to be, his storyline is separate from the backstory.
I think so. But I think like he's probably heard of things just because of living in the pirate world.
Yeah.
That's probably what it is.
Right. Well, I'm sure, yeah. He's definitely heard of the treasures of At Acchran.
Yeah.
He knows that story.
Also, on the new planet, the not At Acchran planet, there was no Neel species.
No, there wasn't, huh?
Yeah.
Because she was like, I've never met anybody like you, but that could have been a personality thing. But yeah, you didn't see any other little elephants running around.
So just so far on At Acchran. So, unless there was some weird Walt Disney was into the whole genocide thing. So,
oh boy.
Well, there's a reason why Neel takes bubble baths.
Oh God. Well, and then I couldn't tell how close the mural was to the one on At Acchran.
Yeah,
it looked like it was the same, but if it was, there's a creature like him in the mural.
Yeah, but isn't it green?
It's green. Yeah.
Yeah, that's weird.
Yeah, well, maybe they have different flavors.
Okay, fair enough. I don't see color. I didn't mean it that way.
That's right.
So far, we've only seen blue. That's all I'm saying.
Maybe that's why he's attracted to Runa. She's got that green. I
was gonna say maybe they changed color as adults, but we saw the parents. The parents were still blue,
parents
right?
Are still blue.
In the window. Yeah. Okay. So it's not a puberty thing.
I don't think it's a puberty thing.
Right. Blue balls your whole life.
Turn green at puberty.
Unless you got a girl. Well, now what's up with the fucking the hip flip she does after giving him a kiss?
There's a little show off. A little show off move.
Yeah,
I know. That was kind of a cool little move. Will we see her again? You think we'll see Hannah again? I don't think we will.
No, I don't. Well, I mean, it definitely seems like something they could return to, but I don't think we're going to see again in this season.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Well, that is it for Skeleton Crew.
That's it. We'll see you next week. So, hey, Hey, thanks for listening, and thanks for not sending us any emails or voicemails. Maybe next week you'll do your job, because we did ours. Right, Matt?
I'm fighting through this pain.
I know. Until next time,
Laugh it up, fuzzballs.
we have spoken.